Today we're heading to Brew York and their time travelling taxi double dry hop pale ale. Well, what's this baby going to be like? Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to Brew York. Seems like forever since I've had a beer from Brew York, but I picked this one up from my local bottle shop and I just, I like the graphics of it and it sounded quite interesting. So this is a double dry hop pale ale. It's got CTZ, which I'm not quite sure what that is, both on the T90 and the Cryo version, Citra T90 and Cryo, and also Loral T90 and Cryo. So there's quite a lot of different types of hops. We're going to get something a little bit different in this, I don't know. As I said, that's all we know. Double dry hop pale ale, 5.4%. So let's crack it open, get it in a glass, and see what it's like, shall we? So yeah, Brew York, I think the last one I had was a lemon one, I think it was from them. I don't seem to have that many from them. Anyway, beer in a glass. I mean, it's a very sort of pale ale, as it were. It looks a bit darker in the screen there, but to me, it's very yellowy. It's sort of clear. It's almost like it looks very much like a lager. We've got 1-2 fingers of head, quite sort of compacted though. Yeah, it looks all right. Let's see what it smells like. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really picking up that much. Bit of lemon, but that's about it. There's not much to it at all in terms of the aroma. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, it's quite clean. A double dry hop pale ale with the Citra, whatever that CTZ is. To me, it's a bit of a weird one, this. It's just very bland. There's not really much going on. There's slight citrusy notes. It's quite a clean taste. It's not your sort of cloudy sort of beer, hazy sort of beer. It's not your hazy pale ale. It's quite clean. It's lemons, bit of grapefruit, a slightly sort of perfumey sort of flavour, I suppose you would say. I think you get that a little bit more from the Loral. It can give it a little that sort of perfumey, sort of slightly floral sort of flavour. But apart from that, it's quite clean. It drinks like quite a traditional sort of pale ale. Sort of pale ales I've had in pubs before, where it pours and these things. Yeah, it's got a slightly more citrusy sort of version of a lager for me. I prefer my pale ales much more hazier, a lot more sort of, a little bit more thicker, a little bit less like a sort of fruitier lager. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. There's nothing special about it. To me, it just tastes like a sort of a craft beer version of a sort of a lager, really. This is to me what I thought craft beer was about before I started drinking craft beer. It's sort of a flowery, a bit more perfumey, a sort of maybe a little bit fruitier version of a lager. It's quite smooth. It goes down well. But the carbonation is a little bit prickly. Yeah, I mean, it tastes like pale ales that I've had a lot of times in pubs, and I've just thought, oh, this is what craft beer's all about. I'm not that fussed about it. Not really the sort of thing for me. Too clean, too, as I say, perfumey is the big sort of takeout really of this. It's okay. I'm trying to think of the sort of people that would like this. If you like lager, if you like more traditional pale ales, or even IPAs, you might quite like this. To me, it drinks very clean, quite crisp in terms of its flavour profile. Considering it's got all this sort of the different types of hops of whatever CTZ is, and also Citra I'm not really picking up any sort of tropical notes in there at all. I'm a little bit disappointed. I think it's a great looking can. I do like this time traveling taxi sort of motif and graphics. I think it's good, but the beer is very disappointing. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Time Travelling Taxi. I don't know what the double dry hop pale ale at 5.5%. I was really looking forward to it. I expected some great things. You know, the hops looked interesting. I expected it to be a sort of a real flavoursome sort of pale ale. But to me, it just tastes very traditional in terms of its pale ale. It looks, it smells, and it tastes like a traditional pale ale that you may get in a pub from a sort of a macro brewery or to some extent. So let's go through the scores. So firstly, aroma. Well, I mean, there's not really much aroma to this at all. I'm not really picking up anything. I can still pick up the aroma from the cream soda pale ale that I had before this one. And the glass was empty of that, but I can still smell that. And there's nothing in this at all. You're not really picking up much citrus. There's a slightly malty sort of aroma, but that's about it. I'm disappointed. I'm giving it 9 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance. Well, I was quite disappointed with the appearance. So it pours very much like a sort of traditional pale ale. You're not really, it's very pale and it's very ale-like, you know, but it's not like a modern pale ale. It's not a hazy pale ale. It's not got that nice haze. We've got nice lace in the glass, I suppose, but there's not really much head to sort of talk about. It's okay. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour-wise, well, like the aroma, it's very nothingy. It's almost like a lager with a slightly sort of perfumey aftertaste. You get a little bit of citrus in there, but not very much. It really is a disappointing for me in terms of flavour, considering it's got 3 different hops in it. It's also got the sort of T90 and the cryo, which, you know, usually just gives you a real big hit of flavour, but I'm not really getting it with this. It's very lacking in terms of flavour. The mouthfeel is very, again, like a very sort of normal sort of pale ale. It's a little bit carbonated, not quite as carbonated as a lager, but still quite carbonated. It's quite thin, light in terms of its mouthfeel. Nothing great. I'm giving it 30 for flavour, and to be honest, even that's quite generous, I think. Value for money. Well, I mean, 5.5%. This cost me just under £4, £3.80 I think it was. So I thought, oh, this is a great value beer. I think it's going to be really good. I suppose if it's a pale ale, you want a traditional pale ale, it's okay. I mean, I've given it 8. I think that's probably a bit too high, but, you know, because you're getting a 4.45.5% pale ale. So I don't know who this beer is sort of targeted at, but for me, it doesn't really quite do it. So I'm giving it 8 for value, but that's very generous, I think. And my overall experience, I can only give it 10 out of 20. That's quite low. I don't usually give my scores that low for overall. It's not horrible. It's not the sort of beer that you're going to pour down the sink. But it's so nondescript. It's so bland, you know, and I'm just used to these beers that are so not bland. So flavoursome. There's lots going on in them. This is very sort of, to me, this is what I thought craft beer was about, a perfumey sort of lagery sort of beer, and it just does nothing for me at all. 10 out of 20, totting those scores up. It seems like a while since we've had such a low score. 64. It's a pretty bad beer. I can't recommend it. So even though the can art is quite good, and Brew York, you know, they make good beers. I don't think I've ever had something stunning from them, but they're reasonably good. But this one is one that I would avoid, really. I just don't think there's anything going for it. There's nothing exciting. It's very, very bland and boring, you know, and I want more from my craft beer. Even though I'm spending £3.50 to £4 or whatever for that, I still expect more, you know, for my money, really. And I'm very disappointed with this. So 64, time travelling taxi, not recommended beer. But what do you think? You know, Brew York makes some interesting beers. I've had some sours from them. They make good, you know, interesting Christmassy sort of stout, so I usually go down really well if you like that sort of thing. I'm trying to think of the last beer that I've had from them that was really good, but they're just, you know, they generally are not bad, you know, but this one is one of the worst that I've had from them. A little bit disappointed. I was looking forward to it. So let me know if you've had it before. What do you think of this? Have I got a bad beer, or is this just how it is? To me, it's a little bit bland and lacking in lots of different ways. But you know, sometimes you got to have a bad beer. And it seems like a long time since we had a beer. I mean, I'm looking through my sort of my journal here of the beers that I've reviewed. You know, even the last month or couple of months, and I'm not picked out one that's in the 60s for a long time. You know, there's the odd 60, but a lot of them are all sort of in the 70s, and we've got 80s. There was one that was 59. I'm trying to think what that one was. Can't even read my own writing. But generally speaking, we don't get many in the 60s, you know, because I usually pick beers that I'm going to like. But this one I'm disappointed with, really disappointed. So let me know what you think of the video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Lots more videos to come. Lots more good beers going to be drank. I'm sure, you know, we can only go upwards from here in terms of good beer. So until the next one, you know what you're going to do. Keep on rocking.